Yeah, mate, we got hards on. We're going to the end.
Forgive me if you will. I was just stretching my body like an absolute contortionist. Been sitting here for way longer than I should be, just catching up on a bunch of stuff, this and that, this and that. And now, out of everything, the last thing I'm doing now is a little bit late as well, probably by about 24, maybe 48 hours. Catalonia, the Grand Prix in Catalonia Espanol. No prize money for guessing who won this week, and let's just say it wasn't close. We're gonna go through qualifying. We're gonna go through the race. We're gonna give our awards. Sector 1, 2, and 3. Those are the categories. This is hard zone. We got hard zone because we're going to the end, boys. Where should we start? Well, the beginning's always a good place. Qualifying. Qualifying. So close to greatness, but just a tad too far. I think Actually, I can get it up. Laptop's actually working today. It might not be easy, but I'll try. Formula One, Spain qualifying should come up fairly simply. There we go. Spain qualifying results. This should be able to remind me. What would be the best site for this? I don't know. I'm pretty sure I wrote Max Norris. No, Max Sainz Norris. Yes, this week, isn't it? So, and then I know Gasly got a penalty of 6 places, meaning Hamilton went up to fourth. Yeah, here we go. So, we'll start from the back and we'll work our way up for it. Logan Sargent was at the back. Charles Leclerc, that's a noble one to talk about. Charles Leclerc, I didn't see this. I think I was late to qualifying for some reason. I don't know why. But I joined in Q2. So I don't know what happened to Charles Leclerc. I don't know if it was an engine thing, like a car thing, a him thing. I think it was a bit of both, maybe. Bit of both. Alex Albon, Kevin Magnussen, Valtteri Bottas, Yuki Tsunoda, De Vries outqualified Tsunoda. Well done, De Vries. I'm surprised and shocked. I didn't even know that was the case. I didn't even know you were capable of it. Because you've kind of been letting me down. I was the one guy who believed in you, the one guy who backed you. And for the large parts of the season, you kind of let me down. But to be fair, I think within the last 2 race weeks, you've actually stepped it up a little bit. They probably threatened your career, F1 career, and you sort of decided to pull your finger out the bag. Zhou was 13th. Then it went George Russell. What happened to George Russell? That kind of went over my head. I don't know what happened there. I think he went into the gravel. Didn't get out of Q2. So once again, out qualified by Hamilton, which we're happy about. But I've actually grown to like Russell recently. Again, because obviously I liked him. Fell out of him a little bit. I'm back on side. He's won me back over. I think he's won a lot of people back over. George Russell sort of kind of grown to be a lot of people's fan favourite. Then he went 11th, Sergio Perez, another one to call out. This is why it was actually quite a good qualifying. You had Charles Leclerc down there. You had Russell down here. You had Perez just above him. And it's just like, it was fun. The only thing you're missing is just thinking, why couldn't one of those drivers have been Max Verstappen? Not because I've got anything against Max Verstappen personally, but we all want to see him fail. No? Surely, come on now. Oscar Piastri was 10th. Well done, Oscar Piastri. Fernando Alonso 9th. What happened there? You got outqualified by Lance Stroll. We don't like to see that now. Nico Hulkenberg 8th. Well done, Hulkenberg. Especially because Magnussen was down in 17th. So I think Hulkenberg this season is really showing he's not just like this fan favourite Hulk. Like, he is actually competent and decent. Because I'll be honest, I was a part of it when I was thinking, why does Hulkenberg get called up all these times for like, they need someone because someone lost a leg, someone's got COVID for the fourth time, you know what I mean? Hulkenberg, everyone loves Hulkenberg, and he'd just come in and be okay. But everyone would still get so gassed every time, regardless. And I think now he stepped into the car this year, and like, you got to look at that car and their driver lineup, right? Like maybe 2 years ago, I think it was, when they were sitting there with Mick Schumacher, Mick Schumacher and Mazepin, right? Okay, bad. They improved the car a bit, yeah, granted, but then you get Magnussen step to the car and he shows levels like, we can get so much better than this, like huge, but just better than Mick, right? Get rid of Mick, and now it's like, but now Hulkenberg has stepped in, and there's always a bigger fish type thing, and it's like, Magnussen's really what we could have been doing, and then Hulkenberg walks in, and it's like, no, I'm actually a lot better than Magnussen, and it's like, can they now attract, like, could they now bring they wouldn't afford him, but bring in Danny Rick? Would Danny Rick then walk in and be like, and I'm this much better than Hulkenberg? Because he did in the Renault, but don't know if it would happen again here. or is now Hulkenberg like their peak of driver they can get here? I don't know, but he finished 8th. Then you got Sebastian. No, he wishes. Esteban Ocon in 7th, Lance Stroll in 6th. Pretty good from Lance Stroll there. Hamilton was 5th, Gasly was 4th, then to be demoted down. And that was one thing that was slightly disappointing because Hamilton was really pushing the whole weekend and stuff, but then just on the last qualifying he didn't really get even in the top 3 like you would have expected. But Mr. Lando Norris did, which I was really happy about because he's probably my favourite driver and who I support the hardest to go out there and get on that podium to get a win. You know, if he did, he could have done it that time in the clouds are different here. Where was it? The clouds, they're different in Russia. Sochi. But it wasn't to be. So it was nice to kind of see him back in the mixer at least. Good pal Carlos Sainz just in front of him. And then obviously Max Verstappen out in front. And look. I can't... If we're living in reality, which I think we should, I can't say I'm too disappointed with that qualifying. And I think considering the amount of drivers who are down low, not like that, guys. I don't want to question if they're... Anyway, if you get it, you get it. So, I mean, we've got Leclerc down here in 19th. You know, we've got both Perez and Mercedes, you know, a Red Bull Perez and Russell, a Red Bull and Mercedes down here in the mid-tables. You got, like, Norris up here, you know, Sainz finally showing his worth for once. You know, you got, you know, Fernando's dropped off a bit. You know, it's quite a good grid. The only constant is Verstappen. He is Thanos. He is inevitable. Qualifying really petered out in the end. Like, you're thinking you're gonna have this big, and is Hamilton gonna take it? And then when he doesn't, like, Verstappen doesn't need to try, and it kind of just peters out into nothing, which kind of ruins the excitement. But I think I got to give qualifying an 8 regardless because it's kind of undeniable, especially with some of the ones we've been given. I think you have to take it. So an 8 out of 10 for the qualifying there has to be said. It is just also annoying having context and knowing that Norris, sorry Norris, but that Norris P3 was all for naught, as I'm pretty sure he finished like dead last or close to, which sucks for me. When I see him get that damage on like the first turn, oh boy, I pissed and shit. You know, I was sad. Let me get the race result now. So that was qualifying. Now we can get the GP result. And do I remember it? Well, it's hard to forget that Verstappen won. To be honest, that's kind of singed in the brain. You don't really forget something like that. I remember now. So we'll start at the back of the grid here. But we don't rate the race particularly. We kind of just do a bit of a rundown. And ultimately, it was a mid-race. Like, I think the last change of the chicane was good. Because, you know, the issue was you kind of follow closely around the whole track. You follow closely. The last chicane does you. You don't get a good enough exit. And you don't manage to overtake them on like the only kind of overtakeable place. That issue was solved. You could follow, get to the end, overtake them on the straight. Within the first 20 laps, you're like, oh, this is actually quite fun. There's overtakes. Things are changing. This is cool. You then get about 20, 30 laps in and you start to realise, well, it's the same overtakes in the same places. It's all kind of predictable. It's kind of boring. Oh no, Verstappen's just going to win. It's kind of lame. So, although the drivers I like kind of did well, broadly speaking, not Lando, on top of the fact that at least there was overtakes, maybe I got to put some context in here. Some, you know, like, do you judge a track's excitement by what the track is? Like, for example, Baku is meant to be this crazy track that gives you crazy fun races, right? So if it gives you a race where the winner is from P3, and what I'm trying to say is, if Baku gives you if Baku gave you the exact same race as Catalunya or Monaco, would you say the Monaco and Catalonia race was actually better? Because for the tracks that they are, to provide a race like that, technically it's a better race because you don't expect that of that race because of the circuit is. So Catalonia, yeah, that's kind of the best you're going to get from that particular track. You know, you're not going to get overtakes in all those kind of places. So just even to get the overtakes there, considering what you could get, you have to say, okay, then you did decent, son. Pound the back. Let's not push the boundaries. Let's just give you credit where it's due. Because if we're going by that logic, then you get quite a high score. You also then got to look at the fact that Verstappen finished 20 place seconds in front of anyone else. Look at that for me, would you? I'm looking through the grid, man. You got a Red Bull, two Mercedes, and a Red Bull. Is that exciting? Especially because the grid started with a Red Bull, a Ferrari, and a McLaren, and then a Mercedes, you know, and then maybe a different car. What was it? Then a Aston Martin. You had like different fucking brands going all the way down, man. You know, we were mix and matching. So like, they all dropped out. Like, I'm happy. I mean, Hamilton was on the podium, and it was a double podium for Mercedes. But I feel like I should be excluding bias when I run down the race and what makes a good race. Like, if you're a Red Bull fan, if you're like a Ferrari fan, you look at this race and say it was boring, you know, because the drivers you like didn't really have much to say. There wasn't a crazy difference in positions, especially at the top of the field where it matters. I feel like it was one of those guys who was on WTF1, who made a tweet like, there needs to start being points from 1 to 15, so there's more to play for, which I definitely don't agree with. Because as much as decisions are made in Formula 1 for like the entertainment of the sport, which I like, that's cool. Yeah, we want like Piastri and De Vries fighting down there, or Tsunoda and Piastri fighting down there to mean something, right? I don't think you always have to make decisions based off of entertainment, right? Because as much as that feels like that should always be the most important thing, there's more nuanced things, there's more like unquantifiable things than just surface level entertainment from race to race. And like, it should be hard, you know, to like get a point. That's why it's such a big deal when Russell's crying because he's got a Williams, a single point. Like, it's a big deal to get your first point if you're in like a midfield kind of lower end kind of car. If we just make it 1 to 15, it's like, oh, anyone can really get points. It's not really a big work. Like, being a driver who goes a whole season not finishing outside the points in a midfield car is like an achievement, because to be in like a Alpine and to go the whole season not finishing outside the points once is kind of impressive, you know. Just to drop it down to basically everyone should get a point, and then it's fun to watch 18th and 19th trade places because everyone gets it. It's just easy. It's like it's not fucking candy. We're not just giving it out, you know. It's not Halloween. Like, you got to earn this shit still. I think to sacrifice watching 14 and 15 trade places and it mean nothing for when someone actually finally does break into the top 10 for it to mean something, I think it's more impressive. That the stat that Yuki Tsunoda's been breaking into that top 10, pushing that door down for most of the races, you know, 12th again here. You lose out on stats like that when it all means nothing, you know what I mean? It kind of makes people lack, what's the word? Accountability, or like, be able to avoid criticism. Like, it just changes the picture of things. De Vries is someone we've looked at and been like, it's not been good enough, it's not finishing the points yet, he's been outside of it too much, he's been DNFing too much. But here he's finished 14th. I think last race he probably would have been in the points as well by that new rulage if they did that. And it's like, kind of just changes things, you know. It's kind of like penalties in football. It's like some people want to change penalties. Are they fair? Like, you go all the way through a game, you go all the way through extra time, just for it to be decided by the flip of a coin. Like, you could be the way better side, and it should be golden goal. It should be this. You should make it more fair. And it's like, fuck what's fair, man. This is again the unquantifiableness of the sport. It's a cruel mistress, penalties, and that's why it's great. I've been on the bad end of them many a time. You know, look at the shirt I'm wearing. Italy in the final. You know, to go up first, to sort of feel like it's yours to win. You're at Wembley, right? To save a Jorginho penalty, who at the time was kind of like unstoppable with his penalties, like with his technique. For Pickford to then save one, give you a second chance. Like, for these things to happen and then to lose them, yeah, it hurts, man. It's painful. But that's what penalties is, you know. Like, it is something in the sport where, like, it can give you the most hurt and the most joy. And like, is it fair? No, it doesn't feel fair sometimes, but it's the luck of the draw, it's the kick of the ball, it's how it goes. You get 13th, it means fucking nothing. Sure, I shouldn't need to give a fuck about these positions anyway. For me, when we're talking about what we should do to make the races more exciting, we should be talking about at the top of the field. For me, the biggest issue isn't, I want to be watching 14th and 15th and for that to be exciting. It should be, no, how do we make it so from 1 to 3 it's fun? the people challenging at the top where it actually fucking matters. How do we make sure that's actually fun and entertaining? I don't care about the dregs down here. Okay? Let's just make all the cars more fast and shit so they can all compete for what actually fucking matters. So that's on that. I think there's nothing more to say in the race here. We all saw how it went. I'm happy Hamilton got second. And to be honest, because now I'm back on George's side, I'm happy George was close to follow behind, obviously. I wouldn't have been happy if it was Russell Hamilton. But to see Russell also up there, I'm happy about. To see him in third, I'm happy about. See him on that podium. Sainz again, mate. Think you should be doing better. I don't know how much pace in that Ferrari right now, though, to be fair. Or if Sainz just isn't doing good enough. Look, I know Leclerc was down in 11th here, so I should be calling out him as well. But look, Leclerc's done more for me. Sainz, he ain't done a lot for me. Not even just lately, but in general for a while, mate. And again, someone who's backed you a lot. I just feel like, work with me here, man. Work with me. You know, takes two to tango. And I feel like I'm dancing alone right now. Alonso finally doesn't finish in... I think he's finished like third or fourth. Has he finished second yet? I don't think so. I think he's finished third or fourth like every race week so far. So the first time he's finished outside that, finished 7th. Was he ahead of... And no, Stroll finishes above him. So go on, Stroll. Well done, Stroll. Stroll's kind of been coming to his own recently as well. He's been strutting differently. He's been having a bit more swagger, a bit more confidence in his interviews. He's feeling himself. Fair enough, man. I don't deny it. Can we kind of talk about how Gasly has been like this huge meh as well? He's been a huge meh, Gasly. And it has to be spoken about. Gasly coming to this Alpine, I was acting like he was going to set the world, like he's going to be the best thing since sliced bread. The guy's walking around calling himself the tripod. And to be honest, mate, I can't think of a funny analogy, but let's just say you're looking more like a two-legged tripod, a two-pod. Let's move on. But yeah, I don't know, I just haven't been impressed by Gasly. Maybe that will reflect in my awards here, because I shouldn't really take other races into account when doing awards for this race, but maybe I will. There's no rules. So, soft award, flaccid performance. Who be giving that to? Who was just floppy disk today? I mean, Bottas is down in 19th. That's kind of soft, but don't know. I mean, maybe Leclerc. Maybe Norris. He got damaged though, it's hard to say. But even after the damage, he never really kicked on. I mean, maybe was he just too far behind at that point to ever... I don't know, I just feel like... I mean, Piastri never really moved forward either, so he only moved backwards as well, so... that maybe there just wasn't the pace in the car to kick on there, and you had that one lap pace and you struck magic. So I won't give it to Norris. I'm going to say... It's difficult. I either want to give it to man. Leclerc is in my mind because he just didn't cut through the field the way he should have. He got to 11th from like 19th, which, you know, you kind of just want to see more. But it was competitive out there. Soft, man. Just give someone soft. Doesn't really matter. It's the least important award. Just give it to anyone, mate. Where did Gasly qualify again? If Gasly fell back, I'm giving it Gasly. Let's see. Because if Gasly fell back a position, it's just not good enough for me, Gasly. It's not good enough for me, mate. Gasly qualified I think he qualified P10, right? Because he was P... Right? Yeah, because he was P4 and he went down 6. Right, so if you qualified P10, great, now I've got to fucking type this in again. And wait, and where did, actually, before I check that, where did Ocon qualify? Just so I can see comparatively where the pace was in that car. P7, so I think he went back as well, to be fair. I just think I want to give the softie to, that's a mad sentence, but I want to give the softie to Gasly. Low key, man, especially because I don't like the arrogance when you can't back it up. And he finished P10. Start P10, finish P10. It's soft, man. I'm giving it Gasly. I'm giving it Gasly to end the season. The mid awards for just sort of being there. He was okay. He didn't blow me away. If anything, was maybe slightly overrated. I'm going to give it to... Who was just sort of mid today? Maybe Sainz. Sainz sort of lives in the mid award, mate. He loves his award. Just middle of the road, nothing to report on. It's going to one of the Spaniards, especially because it was a home Grand Prix for them, and for them just to be both so flat. Alonso also stayed behind Stroll, man. And to be honest, Sainz, yeah, he dropped out a bit, but look, it was Mercedes and Red Bulls that were in front of him. So I'm actually going to give the mid award to Alonso. What a fall from grace, good sir. And who was just rock hard. Obviously, Verstappen's boring. We're not giving it Verstappen. Like, how could he not be just fucking on absolute blue chew when you're out in that car that far ahead? Was it really a hard performance from Hamilton, though? With what he did? I mean, no one's really screaming my name saying, hey, pick me, pick me. I mean, Perez is P4 here. I don't know how he ended up there, but he just is P4, and he just was mid-table when he qualified. So that is something. But there is also a little thing called bias, and I don't deny it. When I hear that little bias devil on my shoulder, I listen. Hamilton's getting the award. He got on the podium. He's P2. I like Hamilton, and I'm happy for him. And yes, he started P4. He wasn't a million miles away from it, but he got there nonetheless. And is it crazy to say he only had to get past Norris and Sainz, who were in maybe slower machinery? Sure, don't care. I'm giving it Hamilton. So Hamilton's hard, Sainz is soft. No, Hamilton's hard, Alonso's medium, and Gasly is soft. Those are your awards for today. Not sure what the next race is. I can check that though. The beauty of being able to check things is just great. Never take it for granted. F1 calendar, would that show it? 2023? Would that be the thing to search? Yeah. Canada. Hey, Canada. So excited. Canada, Austria, Britain. So 18th of June. So next week. I don't know what kind of... I'm going to assume it's just the standard kind. Then we got Austria, 2nd of July. So again, not another double race. We're going to make us wait for it. Classic. And then 2nd July. But then we do get a double one with the British on the 9th. But yeah, next up is Canada. A lot of people seem to like Canada. I'm not sure if it's definitely returned the goods for me yet while watching Formula 1. But a lot of people seem to like Canada, so maybe it'll be a good one for me. Another thing I'm just kind of hoping for, don't care if it sounds bad, why is everyone finishing the race? Why is no one disqualifying? Why am I not seeing cars just crash like crazy? It's not been happening enough. I think the last time we got some good crashes, last good race, man, that for me is like everything I kind of want in a race was Australia. Red flags and crashes and this and that and controversy and angry radios, and it's just like it's all been polite, and they're all driving like they're professionals. Guys, get back out there and look like amateurs. That's what I need. And I've just not been getting that recently. I was watching these Grand Prix, and they're out there and slipping around in the rain in Monaco, and no one's really making big errors. I'm just thinking, when did they all get so good, man? So look, and obviously I don't want anyone to get hurt. You know, I always, you know, I only just ever pray for a safe race. But that being said, look, come on, man, come on, just crash the car a bit, crash the car. This was Hards On, God knows what number, 15. We got Hards On, we're going to the end. See you next time, where we'll be talking about the Canadian. Or maybe I'll do one in between here and then, but I won't promise that. So probably talking about the Canadian Grand Prix. Thanks.